Mr. Oscar Onyema, we appreciate your speaking with us here at Frontier Africa Report. This is a very big day, and we cannot re-emphasize or overemphasize the congratulations and all it takes for you to put everyone on board and get 100% success at this court-ordered meeting. But again, the most important question for you will be your transition from taking over the Nigerian Stock Exchange at a very difficult period in about 10 years ago, and this transition that's taking you from stabilizing the exchange and moving into new frontiers. What's the big story here for you moving forward from today?
I think the big story for me really is open access. With the exchange becoming demutualized, there are significant opportunities to access new frontiers, bring in new players, open up new verticals, access capital to drive improvements in technology, be able to hire the best hands, make sure that we're keeping the existing hands happy and competitive. So it's really open access. It gives us a platform that can scale across multiple verticals.
In terms of what to say, hit the ground running, what will be the first as soon as you file all the necessary papers with the government and regulatory agencies? What will be the first step for you in raising the game, as it were, from being a mutual exchange to a PLC?
Governance. So we will, once we've gone back to CAC and SEC and to the court, and we get the court sanction, we'll go back to CAC and SEC, and once SEC approves, we can form the first board. And that board is going to be a combination of a few of the existing board members and new independent directors, so that there's continuity and stability for an 18-month period for those that are transitioning from the existing exchange to. Yeah. So that allows for improvements in governance, because you now have independent directors and they have all the responsibilities that will be associated with that. We're also able to begin to roll out the new strategy and to allocate resources, both real and intellectual, across the operating exchange, NGX regulation, the real estate business, and the non-operating holdco, the Nigerian Exchange Group PLC. So all of that work is going to happen immediately, and then we'll begin to do change management to stabilize, and then we're off to the races, as they say.
For the first time, well, it's not exactly new. You've been dealing with a council. Now you have to deal with the board of directors. But if you look at the cost order document or the scheme of arrangement, part of the plans moving forward is to widen the ownership of the new exchange, PLC. Would that include international exchanges that could become owners of the new exchange moving forward?
So as you know, once we've completed the process and credited shares to the accounts of the membership, they're free to hold their shares, sell or buy more. So we anticipate that even before we formally list on the exchange, those shares will be trading OTC. And we cannot restrict
new investors,
people from buying or selling.
Institutional or individual.
When we eventually list and do a proper listing, it becomes open to anybody, subject to the limits imposed by the demutualization rules of the exchange. So no individual can have more than 5%, no group can have more than 20%, and no strategic investor can have more than 30%. And even to get to 30%, they need the approval of the Securities and Exchange Commission. So those are the...
For Africa, of course, you were the immediate past head of the RCA, the African Securities Exchange Association. This is a big day. What message do you have becoming this part of this very few club of exchanges in Africa to go public?
Well, my message to the rest of my colleagues on the continent, as you know, there are 28 exchanges. I believe 5 are demutualized. is to stay the course. It took us a long time. We needed to make a few changes to the law. In fact, the company law does not provide for demutualization, so we had to get the demutualization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange Act passed and signed into law. So that is a Herculean effort. So stay the course. It will happen. Another thing that was difficult was getting everybody to agree on the plan. And we're so happy that the vote is unanimous and by a substantial number of the members. So that this is a resounding yes vote for the process and the plan and the scheme that has been put together.
We are starting a new process of the stock exchange is taking a new frontier, and we're taking financial news and market reporting across all the various market classes in Africa, commodities, exchanges, derivatives, debt market forward with this initiative with Frontier Africa Reports. In terms of the new PLC, you will need more reporting, you need more coverage, you want the media. How much of what you've seen so far done, or more, do you think the media should do in reporting African financial markets moving? And why is this very important for the continent?
The media needs to do a lot more to bring what is going on in the capital markets to the population in Africa. Not just the elite, but even those that we're trying to crowd in. And that is why we've engaged in a deep way to explain the concept of demutualization and the processes that we're going through, and to be transparent with the media, because we believe that if they understand it, they will give the right information to potential investors, to the general public. It is so critical that information that is being put out there is correct.
Thank you so much. And congratulations, Mr. Oscar Onyema, for being the one who midwifed this Nigerian Stock Exchange to new frontiers. Congratulations once again.